Right, let me go across to my colleague Shubhendu, who is joining us from Cyprus. Shubhendu, talk to us a bit of fuel about that spirited reception given to the Prime Minister at his hotel.
Spirited reception it was indeed, Ramesh. Such enthusiasm that we witnessed from the members of Diaspora for Prime Minister. People of all age groups had come, mind you. The youngsters, little babies with their mother, young professionals who work here from India. They all gathered with the expectation to meet Prime Minister, directly interact with him. And Prime Minister also, at a slow pace, made sure that he's able to shake as many hands as possible, say namaste to as many people that he could. A lot of people had also carried banners from Operation Sindhu to slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. So in that sense, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the energy of the room was quite extraordinary, and it's quite familiar with the manner in which Indian diaspora members usually engage with the Prime Minister when he is in a foreign land. It was similar to what we witnessed before, and that enthusiasm, even though, as I mentioned earlier, there's a relatively smaller strength of the diaspora that stays here in this island nation of Cyprus, but the enthusiasm and the excitement really made up for it in many manners. Many of them also professionals. They spoke about the opportunities that have opened up for them, not just in Cyprus, but in Europe, the kind of expectations that many of the locals here have of traveling to India, the culture that they're now familiar with. So that people-to-people connect was also witnessed. Many of the people who had come to meet Prime Minister were also of Cyprus descent. So in that sense, the diversity and the beauty of Indian culture, the traditions, the clothes, the traditional wear, everything on display, coming together beautifully to welcome Prime Minister.
Indeed, and we've been seeing your reportage from Cyprus, Shubhendu. Having spent the last few days in Cyprus, do you think the Prime Minister's visit, the first in more than 20 years, will give an impetus, a fillip to India-Cyprus relations?
Most certainly. We have to see the manner in which this visit has already started. You have the president of the country reaching the airport along with his colleagues from the foreign ministry to receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I think it speaks volumes about the kind of close relations India and Cyprus have. It symbolizes the manner in which Cyprus values its relations with India. It's a great honor that has been accorded today to Prime Minister Modi, with the president of the country coming to the airport to receive him. It also speaks significantly about the future course of movement of vision that both the countries have. There is a great focus on trade, technology, innovation, and people-to-people connect. Both leaders in their respective statements have spoken about it. When the delegation-level talks happen, which is going to happen tomorrow after the ceremonial welcome at the presidential palace in Nicosia, capital of Cyprus, we will see the manner in which these important areas, tangible areas of engagement are going to be taken forward. There is great excitement, there's great potential. And more importantly, both Cyprus and India stand on similar principles at the heart of it. As you mentioned earlier, that's a sensitive time that Prime Minister is visiting Cyprus post the Pahalgam terror attack, Operation Sindoor. Countries like Cyprus, despite of their size, coming up and standing up in principle to stand with India and condemning the terrorism in all its forms and manifestations speaks volumes about the relations that India has nurtured with countries across the world. Cyprus in particular, therefore, is also a choice for Prime Minister to be at Cyprus before he goes then and engages with the Big Seven, the G7 meeting in Canada. So in that sense, both Canada, both Cyprus and India really in their own ways showcasing the kind of importance, respect and hope, potential for the future that they see in each other's friendship.
Indeed, as you correctly mentioned, the President of Cyprus personally receiving the Prime Minister at the airport upon his arrival in the country. But looking ahead to his engagements through the remainder of the day, Shubhendu, talk to us a bit, if you will, about the business event that the leaders will address, and also we believe they will have a private dinner as well.
That's right, Ramesh. So Prime Minister just a short while ago had reached the hotel. He engaged with the diaspora members as we showcased those visuals. And now the next engagement of the Prime Minister would be to engage with a cross-section of business leaders, both India and Cyprus, which will take place about an hour from now. President of Cyprus will also be present at the delegation. The idea is to be able to foster closer ties, closer cooperation between Indian and Cyprus businesses. Cyprus also presents itself as a very, very potent partner, a gateway, as it were, to the Mediterranean and Europe in that sense. And India presents itself as a huge market in diverse areas, the fourth largest economy. India and European Union also are in negotiations for a free trade agreement, FTA. So these are all positive movements. And when we establish very close ties with a nation, with an island nation, which is seen as a gateway to Europe, it really opens up doors for both the nations. And in fact, for the entire continent of Europe to be able to engage closely with India. And this meeting of business leaders with both Prime Minister of India and President of Cyprus sitting at the head of the table is going to make sure that the business community, the professional community can in fact work with more confidence, with more close connection. There's a greater emphasis on innovation. India's startup ecosystem, third largest in the world. Cyprus also focusing greatly on innovation in clean energy domain in particular. So there's a lot of scope for individuals, organizations from both the countries to work together. And this business meeting is expected to really give a lot of impetus and momentum to that kind of working together, that kind of an environment, Ramesh.
If we were to zoom out and look at the region as a whole, Shubhendu, the Mediterranean region in particular, would it be fair to say that this visit of the Prime Minister of India would not go unnoticed in Turkey, for instance, given the frosty ties that exist between Turkey and Cyprus on the one hand, and Turkey and India in particular on the other hand, especially given what we know about Turkey's ties with Pakistan, Turkey turning a blind eye to terrorism emanating from Pakistan, Turkey supplying drones to Pakistan that were used against India in response to Operation Sindoor. So given all these geopolitical flux taking place in the region, would you say that this visit would be noticed in Ankara, for instance?
Absolutely, Ramesh. In fact, it's a profoundly important point which must be talked about. A lot of experts, in fact, had primarily looked at this point, the symbolism of fusing a country like Cyprus for the first visit after the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor. Now, it may give us an opportunity to just briefly look at the manner in which Cyprus and India are both on sort of looking in the same direction, on the similar side, the kind of adversaries, geopolitical adversaries they both face in the form of Turkey. In Cyprus, if one looks up, there is something called the Cyprus question, the Cyprus dispute, the Cypriot issue. It's known by different names. Basically, if you look at the history, and I just point out in 1970s, there is the Turkish and Greek population in Cyprus, and the differences really snowballed into a major conflict when Turkey had in fact invaded Cyprus in the 1970s, and now it's in fact a divided island. There's a border that divides the north of the Cyprus from the south. The south mostly Greek population, and the north mostly Turkish population, and the UN peacekeeping line that divides both the nations. So in that sense, and Turkey was seen as this bully, which had led to this kind of a division of an island, which has had thousands of years of history of people of all communities and all, in fact, civilizations coming together and living together. So in that sense, the kind of role that Turkey has played in Cyprus has been, in fact, criticized. The part of Cyprus that is occupied by the Turks, that is not even recognized as a country. Only Turkey recognizes that part. Rest of the where we are right now, this part of Cyprus, which is Greek dominated, in fact, is recognized as a country, as Cyprus. So in that sense, and we've seen as the context you've given in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, Operation Sindoor, India trying to isolate Pakistan for its support to terror. And in a situation like this, instead of calling out terrorism, Turkey standing with Pakistan, making its own political position very clear. In that sense, these geopolitical developments do put countries like India and Cyprus in the same category, calling out terrorism, the challenge of the menace of terrorism very clearly. So in that sense, despite the difference in size and the culture, Prime Minister Narendra Modi choosing Cyprus, sending out an important message. And in fact, come tomorrow, when Prime Minister would be having other engagement, he'll be visiting an important historical center in Cyprus. And we understand from sources that from there you can actually see the path of the divided Cyprus, so something that Cyprus, the people of Cyprus continue to grapple with, that angst they continue to live with. It's been more than 50 years, mind you. So in that sense, Prime Minister's presence, important message of solidarity for Cyprus to say that India stands with its allies, particularly those who can call out bravely terrorism and those who support it.
As my colleague Shubhendu is reporting there, the visit of the Prime Minister is indeed high on symbolism and substance alike. We leave it there, Shubhendu. Thank you. Shubhendu Ghosh reporting there from Cyprus. And with that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. But news continues here on DD India. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.